everyone, welcome back to the Scrapbook Pal YouTube channel. This is Marla with Mad About Cards and Crafts, and today we're doing all things mini slimline. I have the Pinkfresh Studio Essentials dies. The dies are the mini slimline bundle as well as the envelope. And we are going to create a mini slimline card and envelope. I am using some Catherine Pooler products. I'm using the Among the Seaweed right there, that cover plate die, as well as the Ocean Chums. This is an adorable stamp set. This is the Pinkfresh Studio Mini Slimline. It does come with the circles and both sets of stitched and kind of crimped edge slimlines. This is the matching mini slimline envelope die. It is sold separately. The mini slimline bundle comes with the magnetic strip, but the envelope die does not. I'm going to do a little bit of ink blending. I will link all of the Catherine Pooler mini ink collections that these inks came from in the description box below, as well as all of the other products that are available in the Scrapbook Pal store. I started with Daydream, which is a beautiful dark ocean blue, and I'm going to blend it out with a teal aquatini, and finally I'm going to bring in the Seafoam, which is going to be a beautiful light green, and I love the way that these inks blend together. I've mentioned it before in my other videos. These are very quality inks. I think that the mini ink cube collections are fantastic and just a great way to get yourself familiar with the Catherine Pooler inks. Here I'm finishing up my blending, and once I get that finished, my card panel is not 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I didn't need it to be a full-size card panel because I'm only going to be using bits and pieces of the Seaweed. So I spritzed it with some water, dried it with my Ranger heat tool, and then I'm going to tape this to the back of that cover plate. And isn't that beautiful? I'm going to take these apart, break the Seaweed apart with my scissors. I will cut it apart, and I'm just kind of getting some of the little bits and pieces out of the centers of the Seaweed. I'm going to be using the more crimped edge die set. So there's 2 straight edge on that, and then there's 2 that actually have the pattern. I'm using the 2 layers that have the pattern. Pinkfresh Studio does create 3x6 mini slimline envelopes, so the envelope is made to fit a 3x6 mini slimline, which is going to be the largest of those pieces of die cut pieces, sorry, that the panels that I cut out. So the largest one is going to be 3x6. I'm using some tea dye ink from Tim Holtz, the Distress Oxide, and then I thought I was going to use that ink pad, but I decided that I did have enough ink left on my brushes, so I will use the Seafoam right here, and then I'm going to blend that out with a little bit of the Daydream. So I don't need to use any more ink. These are highly saturated ink pads, and so you really, when you use your blending brushes, you get a lot of ink on there. And I try to use as much as I possibly can rather than trying to put it back into the ink pad. If I can get away with it, then I'll use what's left on the brush. These are the circles that I cut out. You're going to be able to see the beautiful pattern. That is the same pattern. It matches what the dies were for the mini slimline. And I'm just going to ink up the background with that ink that you see in the picture. I can't remember. I think it might be Daylight is what it's called. I don't happen to have that one listed here, but it is a little bit darker than the original ink that I used on the Seaweed. I'm going to spritz this with water, set it aside, and then we're going to start working on building our card. I did color my images off camera. I have a little seahorse and a turtle. As I said, these are the most adorable little underwater sea creatures. I thought that Catherine Pooler did a very great job this year with her summer release. Here I'm stamping out the sentiment. I started with the sentiment that says swimming by to say hi, and I did mask off with a piece of purple tape the portion that says to say hi. I inked up the top of that stamp, and then I stamped it using my MISTI a couple of times. I did remove the masking paper before I stamped, and then I did the reverse to get the words to say hi on the bottom. So my sentiment is swimming by to say hi, and then I'm going to start working on my background. Now you see that I don't have a really crisp image. That's because I put the foam tape on first. I jumped the gun, put the foam tape on first, and so I didn't stamp it on a flat surface, and it looks fine. It's just not as crisp, and that has nothing to do with the stamp or the ink. I'm going to fiddle right here with the seaweed. I cut it all apart. As you can see, I tried to make sure that there isn't any that's going to hang too much higher than my 3x6 card panel, because it is going to need to fit into that mini Slimline envelope. And I'm going to trim some of these down. I did have the bottom release paper from the foam tape. I did remove that so that this seaweed has something to stick to, but then I'm going to have to maneuver my little circles. So those circles, I'm going to have to use wet glue with that, and that's going to allow me time to use my reverse tweezers to kind of move it around and position it in the background. I do not remove the rest of that release tape. I'm going to just use the stickiness from the bottom piece that I have removed, and that's going to help me with placement. So here I have all the release paper on except for the bottom. I'm going to straighten this out, and once I get it in place where I want it, then I'm going to put that little bit of glue on the back of that circle, and I'm going to use my reverse tweezers to get everything in place. So it's going to take me just a couple of minutes, but it works. There was no other way that I could think about getting these on because I didn't measure anything. I'm an organic crafter, so I don't do a whole lot of measuring when it comes to stuff like this. I just kind of put the circles where it seems to me that it was even, and then I place it in my die cutting machine. So they're fairly even, and it's just going to take me a little bit of work. Once I get that done off camera, I will remove all of the release paper from the remaining sections of that mini Slimline layer. Here are the cute little critters. I'm not going to add any more foam tape. I'm going to glue them directly to my panel, and I'm going to make sure that they overhang the circles just a little bit. I will bring in a 3x6 top folding mini Slimline panel. So this is going to be my card base right there, and I'm going to glue that panel to the front of that, and that is going to be my cute little mini Slimline today. I left in the faux pas when I created the envelope because I thought if I made this mistake, then obviously, well, not obviously, maybe somebody else will make it too. I have a 12 by 12 piece of paper. I've cut it in half so it will go through my die cutting machine. I cut the large panel once, I cut the small panel twice, and now I'm using the score lines to just reinforce those score lines. That kind of didn't make sense, but you know what I mean. I'm reinforcing the scoring. Here's where I make my mistake. So I'm folding both of those small pieces the exact same way. I didn't have any 1/8 inch tape, and I would have used double-sided tape for this. I'm going to butt this up, so that's what I'm using that end flap for. I'm butting that up, the flat side to the left side of my card, but here look, I'm not even noticing that I folded my flap the wrong way. I folded it the tab the same way that I folded the first one, and now I have a flat side and I have an angled side, and that's not working. So I pulled it off, I folded it back the other way, and then I'm going to re-glue everything back down. So here we go with the wet glue. Again, if I were mailing this, I think that I would probably go with an 1/8 inch score tape. I think that that would hold it, and also you don't have to worry about anything sticking I'm going to add this other one. I do open it up and then I run my anti-static tool through it to make sure that that wet glue isn't sticky. Here I have 1/4 inch tape. I'm going to add that to the ends, and then I'm going to use the wet glue again because I don't know how much room I really have. I think an 1/8 inch piece of tape would work well here too. And I'm going to fold the other side over. And other than my little faux pas with that V, this went together really quick and easy. I used very inexpensive 12 by 12 paper. I wouldn't use anything that was too thick because I think that it would crack, and I think that just this lightweight paper is perfect. I'm going to make sure that my card fits perfectly inside, which it absolutely does. And then we're going to decorate it with one of the stamps from the Ocean Chums. I'm going to use the octopus and some Versa Fine Black Onyx ink, and that's going to be our card and envelope for today. Remember, this is a 3x6 envelope and die set. I want to thank you so much for watching. Here's a close-up of my project. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and until next time, have a fabulous day.